So, we hate unique mode. Well, it barely does anything. Unique mode barely does anything. The chat is not like vastly more unique since I turned on unique mode. But if it helps stop any kind of spam, I'm for it. Unique mode changes a man. You'll be fine. You're gonna get through this just fine. I believe in your ability to survive unique mode. Blocked. Kill the French. Guys, this is set in the 1800s, to be clear. I guess we can start with you guys. You can start to pick the countries you want. Put the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so here's the thing. This is not gonna make a lot of historical sense, but fuck it. I'm using a modern map of Europe, not a 1800s map of Europe, for two reasons. One, more fun for us to reference modern day things, and two, in 1800 Europe there was like 4 countries. There weren't enough countries on the map to play this game.
Doug, I have a suggestion.
Where's a part of Denmark?
You should create a new channel called DougDoug.
Why is
where
this
every day you upload a 24-hour video of your Twitch page, regardless of whether or not you are streaming.
That is a good idea.
How to be powerful.
That is a genuinely good idea. That's very funny. Sorry, I shouldn't say good idea. It's a genuinely funny idea. Doug, can I borrow $20 to buy some crack? If you can break into my apartment right now, then yes, sure. All right, Napoleon. Any words that you'd like to say to the 8th Coalition to intimidate them and make them fear for their lives before tomorrow's battle? Their general, Lord Twitch Chat, will personally receive this message.
Listen up, you pathetic posse of pompous pricks. I, Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French, am about to unleash a storm of fury upon your sorry excuses for armies. Our soldiers are more disciplined, more skilled, and more motivated than you will ever be, and they're going to wipe the floor with your sorry arses. The only way you'll survive is by surrendering now and begging for mercy, like the cowards you are. You hear me, Twitch Chat? Napoleon is coming for you.
For all of Europe! Today, Twitch Chat, is the 1800s. You've heard about how the 7th Coalition beat Napoleon Bonaparte and exiled him to some island that I don't remember because of American public school education. But what history didn't tell you is about the 8th Coalition. When Napoleon came back, retook over half of Europe, and 8 noble countries across Europe united to stop him, led by the General Twitch Chat. Today we'll find out, can you, the 8th Coalition of countries, stop AI Napoleon from taking over Europe? Today's battle begins with the French Empire in the 1800s, having taken over Portugal, Spain, France, Switzerland, Italy, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, and the Netherlands. You, chat, get to pick the 8 countries that are going to unite together as the 8th Coalition. That will be your starting base, and then you will fight back and forth. If Napoleon's army takes 4 of your 8 countries, then you lose. And this is officially a French channel. But if you can take out France and Paris and then capture Napoleon himself, the 8th Coalition wins. First, you have to decide what countries you want to be. You have any options you want. Except Russia, because we're not going to incorporate Russia into this. Okay. Of all the other countries on the map, you have Turkey, Bulgaria, Greece, North Macedonia, Albania, Kosovo, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Slovenia, Austria, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Poland, Ukraine, Moldova, Romania, Belarus, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, and Britain and Ireland. For some reason, all the countries turned into their modern versions in like the 10 months that Napoleon was exiled, okay? Don't worry about it. What's starting countries? Hold on, are we counting Iceland? Are we counting Iceland as its own thing? We are, right? Okay, one guy in the chat said North Macedonia. All right, we got one North Macedonia stand. Okay, a lot of people are down for North Macedonia. Cool. It doesn't have to be contiguous, right? It can be whatever you want. We want France. You got to earn France, bro. All right? Just like in real life. Welcome to the real world, kid. You got to earn France. Tunisia, please. Tunisia's not in the map. I'm sorry, it's not in the map. It's like, I'm sorry. We're just doing Europe, not North Africa. Give us Vanuatu. Who the fuck is Vanuatu? That is not a real place. It's in the South Pacific Ocean. Sorry to all the Vanuatuans here. I didn't mean to insult your country. I just have never heard of you in my life. I'm sorry. Okay, Sweden is the 8th Coalition final entry. Welcome to the party, Sweden. Glad to have you. This coalition sucks. You need to start having some pride for your coalition, okay? Here, I'll play the coalition theme song. What do you want as your coalition theme song? The Yodel song. Please rise for the 8th Coalition national anthem. This 8th Coalition sucks. Dude, Norway and Sweden, can you guys have a shorter border? This is absurd. Did you never consider how hard this would be to Photoshop in the future? Very selfish. The stage is set. Napoleon Bonaparte has returned. He and his Grand Army have gone out from France. They've taken Spain, Portugal. Andorra is currently neutral for some reason. They've taken Italy. They've taken Switzerland. They've taken Germany, Luxembourg, Belgium, and the Netherlands. This is the current state of the French Empire. Meanwhile, the 10th Coalition, no, the 8th Coalition has formed to oppose them. The 8th Coalition consists of Ireland, Britain, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Poland, Austria, Greece, and North Macedonia. And Iceland. Here's how this is going to work. Hey, Napoleon, the 8th Coalition might try to hire Zeus, the god of thunder, as their general for the battle. What do you think about that?
Zeus? Ha! What kind of pathetic fools would have to rely on a fictional mythological character to lead them into battle? The fact that they would even consider such an absurdity just shows how far out of their league they are. My Grand Army is more than capable of handling any mortal or mythical foe they may throw at us. Our soldiers are like steel, tough, unbreakable, and ready for anything. The 8th Coalition's armies are like paper, weak, flimsy, and ready to crumble at the slightest touch. No amount of lightning bolts or thunderclaps will save them. They'll just be another casualty of the unstoppable French war machine. Rigged!
Napoleon seems confident. Stage 1 of the war. The 8th Coalition must pick a general. Who do you try to recruit as general? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of Kratos. Leonidas, like from the movie 300. A little before this time, but whatever. If it's roughly Mr. Bean, I guess. Jesus Christ. That feels like a bit of a stretch. You don't even have the Vatican, dude. I don't feel like Jesus doesn't make a ton of sense. Napoleon's ex-wife. That feels too... That's gonna be confusing, dude. I feel like that's gonna give us issues. Oh, Alexander the Great would be pretty good. Because he might get you Zeus randomly. Alright, of these 10, is there a particular general you want to try to recruit? A lot of interest in Mr. Bean and Alexander the Great. 2 pillars of the historical legacy of Europe. So you're talking Mr. Bean versus Alexander. So you guys are sort of, debating between one of the most successful conquerors in Europe in all of human history or Mr. Bean. Alexander the Great just didn't quite hit your quality bar, and instead you have hired Mr. Bean from Britain as the general of the 8th Coalition. Napoleon, we've just heard about the 8th Coalition's new general. His name is Mr. Bean. He's a comedian from Britain who has no wartime experience. What do you think of their chances with him at the helm?
Mr. Bean? Really? Oh, this just gets better and better. Well, I suppose it's good to see that the 8th Coalition has a sense of humor, because that's exactly what they'll be. A joke! Oh! The soldiers will be laughing so hard they won't even need their bayonets to take down the British forces. Mr. Bean may be entertaining in his little TV show, but he's no match for the might of the Grand Army. He's as weak and useless as a wet noodle. The only thing he'll be leading is his own army to their own destruction. It's time for my French battle cry. Roop scream!
Oh, dude, he's not afraid at all. He doesn't give a fuck about Mr. Bean. You get 2 turns to research any technology or prepare your army for the upcoming war. Turn number 1, how do you want to prepare? Train bees of war and poison a batch of baguettes for the war. Okay, of these 11 options, do any jump out at you? Drain the ocean. That's not something you can do yet. You don't have the technology for it quite yet. You guys are going to attempt to train bees of war and build a batch of baguettes for the war. To prepare for the war, the 8th Coalition attempts to poison a batch of baguettes. The result is disastrous. Instead of poisoning the enemy with mustard gas, they accidentally create a new bread which gives people superpowers. Now every country in Europe is trying to find out who has this mysterious power bread before it can be used against them by their enemies, and all because some soldiers got drunk at lunchtime during wartime. This hilarious tale will make you laugh until your stomach hurts. Wait, so you accidentally created a bread that gives you superpowers. Okay. Napoleon, the 8th Coalition seems to have made some sort of new bread that gives people superpowers. What do you think about that?
Bread that gives you superpowers? What kind of ridiculous nonsense is that? The 8th Coalition must be spiraling into madness if they're resorting to such nonsense. Well, let them have their bread and their so-called superpowers. Our soldiers don't need to rely on magic tricks and gimmicks to win battles. They are strong and capable on their own, fueled by a passion for their country and for the glory of the French Empire. The 8th Coalition's bread might give them temporary strength, but in the end, the might of the French army will crush them like a stale baguette. It's time to show them the true meaning of power. Let's go.
He's kind of transparent. I need to make him less. All right. I should do it. Okay. The bread preparation has worked. Next up, research smallpox. I don't think you need to research that. I think that's just around. You just get that for free. To prepare for the war, the 8th Coalition attempts to train a hive of battle bees who can attack enemy forces. The result is the creation of 2 types. Normal drones, which are used by soldiers in combat, while queen bees produce eggs at a much higher rate than other species of bees. However, due to their size, they cannot fly well enough or carry heavy loads like the other drones do. In order to overcome this weakness, each queen bee was given special training so it could become more efficient with its movements and lift heavier objects. This new breed of queen bees would be known as battle queens. Okay, you have battle queen bees. Napoleon, word from the front. Apparently the 8th Coalition has trained some kind of battle bee to attack our army during the fight. Let's see what he says. And then the war begins.
Battle bees don't make me laugh. The 8th Coalition really is grasping at straws, aren't they? Well, let them bring their little bees to the fight. Our army is like a hive of bees themselves, disciplined, organized, and deadly. Our soldiers are like the queen bees, commanding their troops with precision and skill. The 8th Coalition's battle bees will be no match for our superior tactics and military strategy. They may think they have the element of surprise, but it won't take our soldiers long to swarm and vanquish their tiny buzzing foes. Just another obstacle to overcome on our journey to victory. Rope, scoip.
I told him to occasionally say French battle cries, and he just keeps making... I said use French battle cries that are words with lots of vowels, and he just kind of grunts stuff. Which country would you like to attack first? This is where the first battle will take place. The 8th Coalition will begin their first offensive into Germany, where they will meet Napoleon's forces. Okay, before the first battle, let's exchange words. Chat, any message that you want to send to Napoleon, Emperor of France. Just a verbal message, anything you want to say to him. You put the "na" in Napoleon. Okay, that one seems good. You're gonna water lose. This is so dumb. Gonna water... Smell like bad cheese. You know what they say about... Let's see if we can imply to the AI that he has a small penis and see what he does with it. We'll throw a wrench in the French. That's so good. Napoleon, sir! We've just received a missive from the 8th Coalition. They've said that they're going to throw a wrench in the French. They said you're gonna water lose. They said you know what they say about short guys, and then they winked at you. And then they said fuck off. What do you have to say in response, Napoleon? I guess I am...
Those fools think they can defeat the great French army? They must have hit their heads harder than I thought. I'll show them who's the boss in this fight. It's time to unleash my secret weapon. We'll dress up as giant croissants. They'll never see it coming. We'll charge at them at dawn, screaming my French battle cry, Hoop la pluie baguette croissant. Trust me, this will be a piece of cake. They'll regret ever messing with the almighty French Empire.
Okay. Napoleon's strategy is set. Chat. What is your strategy? Send out the battle bees? Strap dynamite to the bees. Sure. Let the bees eat the baguettes. So you're gonna have superpower bees. Okay. Okay, looks like you're going to give your bees the superpower baguettes. I don't know what Napoleon is gonna do with this. It is morning, and a great battle is beginning in Germany. Currently, Napoleon's French Empire controls Germany, but the 8th Coalition are attempting to take it back. Napoleon Bonaparte has prepared for the battle by dressing his soldiers as croissants, and then having them charge in while yelling a French battle cry. Okay, I guess we're just fucked? I don't know what we do. I mean, we might just need to pivot to another game for some amount of time. Chess against Napoleon. What does that mean? How do we do that? Okay, Napoleon, change in plans. This entire war is going to be decided by a game of chess. What's the first move that you want to make? You're playing white. Let's see if he can even do this. This is not how we're actually deciding the game, by the way. But that's what I'll tell him.
Ah, the game of chess. I am no stranger to strategy. My first move as why? Why, I will simply move my pawn forward 2 spaces. This will confound my opponents, who will not expect such a bold and daring opening move. They will be so disoriented that they will surely make mistakes in their own opening moves, and then I will pounce. Victory will be mine, just as it always is.
I will simply move my pawn. He didn't say which pawn. I'm just going to move this one. He just said move his pawn forward. All right, you guys are up. Click what thing you want to do. Okay, you are mostly selecting this pawn. Where do you want to move him? I'm guessing you want to move him up, right? Up 2? Not just up 1? Okay, you're moving up 2. Oh no, Napoleon. They matched your move exactly. They also moved your pawn up 2 spaces. What would you like to do next?
My next move will be to move my knight to f3, controlling the center and preparing to launch a deadly attack.
Oh man, you guys are fucked. I guess I'm Napoleon's... If Napoleon is the general, what am I? If I'm his, like, first aide. Because I'm the one communicating with him, so I guess I work for Napoleon Bonaparte today. We surrender. Okay, if at any point you guys majority click on my face... That means you're surrendering. At any point, you can give up a draw if you're too stunned by his strategy, okay? Uh-oh, Napoleon. They moved their knight to c6. It's not quite mirrored, but it's close. What would you like to do? Marshal. Marshal's a good one. I'm Napoleon's marshal.
I will move my bishop to g5, pinning their knight and limiting their options.
What? I can't... Napoleon, that's not on the board. I can't move to G. You could move the bishop to B5 if you wanted. Just move it. Stop talking back to Napoleon.
Let me correct myself. I will move my bishop to B5.
Uh-oh, Napoleon. They moved their pawn up from A7 to A6. Why on earth would you want to have moved it up 2? What are you talking about?
I will simply move my bishop back to C4 out of harm's way.
You're clicking this pawn. I'm assuming you're moving him up 2, right? Do we really have to vote on where you're moving him? Uh-oh, Napoleon. They moved their pawn from B7 to B5. What would you like to do?
I will simply capture their pawn with my bishop, which they foolishly advanced too far.
You guys are falling for his trap, dude. As Napoleon's marshal, let me tell you. Well, Napoleon, they moved their pawn that they had at A6 and took the bishop at B5.
I will move my queen to E2, putting her in line with their knight.
That's your king. Oh, oops. Sorry. I fucked up. Sorry, the marshal did a bad job. Click the back arrow? Oh, okay, cool. Okay, Napoleon, they moved their bishop up from C6 to D4.
I will now move my knight to D2, protecting my pawn on E4 and preparing for the next phase of my attack.
Napoleon, you have a pawn on D2. I can't move the knight there. Just do it, Marshal. What am I supposed to do?
I will instead move my pawn to D3.
Oh, fiddlesticks, Napoleon. They just used their knight to take the queen at E2. What do you want to do now?
Rigged! This game is clearly rigged against me. I will move my bishop to D2.
Why did he become Scottish at the very end? They're on the retreat, Napoleon. Their knight on e2 has cowardly fled back to d4.
I will move my knight to g5.
This is the most sophisticated AI in the world, by the way. Chat GPT-4. Those dastardly 8th Coalition generals have moved their knight to c2. I bet he could have beaten you in checkers.
I will move my pawn to f3.
Napoleon, sir. I'm your loyal marshal, but I just can't move the pawn to f4 because the king is currently under check by the bishop. Excuse me, the knight on c2.
In that case, I will simply move my king to d2 out of harm's way.
There's a bishop there.
Very well then, I will have to improvise. I will move my king to e2.
Uh-oh, Napoleon, the knight at c2 just took our rook at a1. Do you want to offer them a draw? You could just give up like a coward. Instead of...
Never! We are the Grand Army, and we do not surrender. I will move my knight to a4.
I think we should allow him to just do whatever moves he wants. Open an analysis board. Oh, oops. Did we just lose all pro... Sir, the knight cannot move to a4.
I will instead move my knight to e4.
Okay, Napoleon, here's the state of the board. What do you want to do? You're literally telling him wrong. Well, he needs to train his marshal better. This is not my fault.
I will move my bishop to e3.
Napoleon, those dastardly 8th Coalition boys moved their knight to c2.
I see that they are trying to play defensively, but they
Why
will
is he
not be
Southern?
able to stop me. I will move my knight from ge5 to f7, putting their king
Wait,
in
what?
check.
This is looking pretty scary. Maybe you should surrender to be safe. Damn it to hell, sir. Their dastardly king attacked the knight and killed it. Maybe we can convince them to surrender. Maybe you should threaten them in some way as a scare tactic.
Oh, rigged! This game is clearly rigged against me. I will move my knight to d6, putting their king in check once again and forcing them to react.
Sir, I want to follow your orders so bad, sir, but your only knight is at b1.
In that case, I will move my bishop from e3 to c5.
Sir, with that move, they just might be intimidated enough to surrender. Any words that you want to say to their leadership to intimidate and scare them into a peace offering?
We are an unstoppable force, a juggernaut of destruction that will crush all who stand in our way. They have a choice. Surrender to the might of the Grand Army or face annihilation.
48% want to surrender. 50-50. Hold on. I'm just too scared, someone said. Oh shit, it went up to 60. Okay, you guys are moving your bishop. Dag nabbit, Napoleon. They used their knight, who was at f8, in order to take... bishop, who was at f8, in order to take our bishop, who was at c5. This is when his plan starts working.
I will move my rook from h1 to g1.
Was that move 61%? Napoleon, sir! They're offering a draw! They're offering to end the war right now! They're terrified of you! Do you accept the draw? Or do you keep fighting?
I accepting a draw? Me? Never! I will fight to the bitter end, for I am Napoleon, the master strategist, the emperor of the French, and the scourge of our enemies.
Okay, Napoleon. They've moved their queen from d8 to g5.
I will move my king from e2 to d1.
Napoleon, sir. They moved their queen to g4, which puts you in check. Okay, that's a lot to dump on him. Let's see if Napoleon can handle it.
With the pawn on d3, I will move it to d4.
Brilliant maneuver, sir. Unfortunately, as your field marshal, I couldn't do it because your king is in check at d1 from the queen at g4. His intelligence exceeds chess.
I shall move the pawn on e4 to e5.
I'm going to give you guys a chance to surrender. If 51% of you click on my face, that's a surrender. Anywhere else, and you continue playing. 73%! Twitch chat is terrified! They're terrified!
A draw? This is clearly rigged. The sheer audacity of these buffoons to offer me, Napoleon Bonaparte, a draw.
Accept the draw.
The Emperor of
You are
the
in a
French.
terrible position.
No,
Accept the draw.
I shall not accept a draw. Instead, I shall prove my dominance by moving my king from D1 to F1, escaping
I
the
can't
check
move it
and
to
showing these
F1.
imbeciles that I am.
Unfortunately, that's still not legal because a king can only move one space. Doug, do what he says. He has my family.
I'll take their pathetic knight by moving my king from D1 to C2.
Yes.
And then
Okay, Napoleon. They've moved their queen from G4 to E2, putting the king in check.
now I'll order my ferocious knight from B1 to D2.
Oh, has anybody checked Novel AI? Is it back up? How long have we been doing this? Gadzooks, Napoleon! They've moved their queen from E2 to F2, thus capturing one of our innocent pawns. It just came back up. Oh, cool.
For I shall capture their queen with my rook from G1 to F2.
54%. Okay, that's a draw. He has to accept it. Napoleon, that move is illegal, sir. Rooks can't move diagonally. But I just received word from the leaders of the 8th Coalition. They offer you another draw. Give him an out. That's why I said you would go home half a winner. I was like, Napoleon, you would still be kind of a winner. Come on.
Draw. Again with this rigged offer, I reject the draw. I'll move my king from C2 to B1.
They took our rook on G1 using the queen.
Let's move that resolute knight from D2 to F1.
Why are we playing chess with Napoleon? Good question. Oh, fuck! Napoleon, their queen, took our knight on F1.
Fear not, I shall move my king from B1 to C2.
Oh, beans! They moved their rook down to A2.
My dear peasant, no beans indeed. We shall not yield, for as a true French leader, I stand proud even in the face of overwhelming odds. Although you suggest offering or draw, I refuse to give them the satisfaction. I shall move my king to D1 in one last show of defiance and finesse. I order my valiant king to move to B3.
Aha! They made a blunder, sir.
I summon my pawn at B2 to march forward to B4.
I'm so sorry, sir. I failed you as a marshal. I can't do that move because the king is in the way at B3.
I will move my vigilant king across the battlefield from B3 to A3.
That's not a legal move because of the rook at A2.
I shall order my pawn at D3 to advance forth to D4.
35% on resign. But 60% of the people are just barely able to push forward. Napoleon, sir. They won. They checkmated the king. The 8th Coalition has won, sir. Anything to say to them?
Rigged! This is a farce. You may think you have won, you unworthy so-called 8th Coalition, but know this, the spirit of Napoleon Bonaparte and the French Empire shall never be vanquished. You claim a hollow victory today, but our Grand Armée will march on and prove our unmatched might and determination on the real battlefield. Hear me one last time as I bellow my battle cry, Ooh, la gloire éternelle de la France. From the ashes of this defeat, we shall rise once more, stronger and hungrier for victory. Beware, for I, Napoleon Bonaparte, shall return, and true justice shall be served. The sun shall never set on our magnificent French Empire. So let me see you quiver a final time as I proclaim, Vive la France! Ha!
Let me watch you quiver one last time as I say Vive la France. You guys tried to resign throughout that speech. You were so fucking terrified. Well, that hour-and-a-half long chess detour sets us up perfectly to do the actual stream of today, which is to fight Napoleon for control of Europe. This is actually what set off the 8th Coalition War. Napoleon was so pissed that he lost at France. At chess, I mean. Great detour. Yeah, so long. Whatever. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, this is not a chess stream. It's just taken. We've just gotten distracted. Yeah, a quick 5-minute chess adventure. Instead of the French battle cry, because we've heard that a lot, announce that you're going to give a French battle cry, then say a few words in French that just mean that you have cheese inside of your pants. Oh, right, missed the 100. Yasmin, thank you very, very, very much for the 100 gifted subs. Let me use the bathroom, and then we will begin the actual thing that we were doing an hour and a half ago. All right, quick 3-minute adventure to urinate. Okay. Don't tell my mom, but I'm having 2 chocolate protein shakes today. Not only is this not YouTube, this wouldn't go in the YouTube video. You guys don't understand how I make YouTube videos at all. It's just wrong. We already had, like, the setup was earlier. Why would this be on YouTube? This doesn't make any sense. It is morning, and a great battle is beginning in Germany. Currently, Napoleon's French Empire controls Germany, but the 8th Coalition are attempting to take it back. Napoleon Bonaparte and his Grand Armée have prepared for the battle by dressing his soldiers as croissants and then having them charge in while yelling a French battle cry. The 8th Coalition countries, led by their general Mr. Bean, have prepared for the battle by feeding some magical superpower-giving baguettes to their army of trained battle bees. They hope that these bees will then take the French army in the battlefield. Alongside their army, the bees shout out a war cry. Buzz! Suddenly, the battle begins, and the 2 armies rush at each other. As they do, thousands upon thousands of angry bees fly around the area, causing chaos. Soon enough, all of the soldiers get covered with stings. However, none of them die due to being protected by their helmets. Meanwhile, the French forces continue marching forward towards victory. Suddenly, hundreds of bees appear before Napoleon and begin attacking him. He attempts to use magic against the swarm. However, he fails miserably because of its sheer numbers. Okay, At this moment, a man who seems like a normal human walks up to the emperor and says, "You can't win here." Napoleon turns around and sees the mysterious stranger standing there. Before he can say anything, though, another bee appears behind the first bee and then flies into Napoleon's mouth and starts eating away inside of it until disappearing completely. Napoleon looks down in shock, only to see now the whole front of his body has turned black, much like the rest. Then the battle continues. After a few minutes later, both sides have lost many men in the fighting. The French are slowly getting pushed back, and soon enough they find themselves surrounded by the enemy forces. With nowhere left to go, Napoleon decides to surrender himself instead. But just before he does, the mysterious man sets forth again and says, "No, you don't!" So the man grabs hold of the emperor and throws him onto his horse, which was waiting nearby. So the winner of this battle was Mr. Bean? Oh wait, no it wasn't. It was actually the bees. You see, when the mysterious stranger threw the emperor onto his horse, he also sent the bees flying right behind him too. Thus, the bees managed to surround Napoleon and defeat him once and for all. In addition, since the emperor had surrendered himself, he did not lose any men in the process either. This means that the 8th Coalition won the war without even fighting. Okay. 8th Coalition wins Germany. But there's some mysterious man on a horse who has Napoleon and got him out safely. Congratulations, Germany. You are now part. You are now part of the 8th Coalition. You guys won the battle. You get to decide where the next battle takes place. Okay, a lot of interest in Luxembourg and Italy. How many bits to keep the chess part in the video? Here, I'll unmute TTS for right now. Twitch chat is going to try to take back Italy. Bad news, Napoleon. In the Battle of Germany, the 8th Coalition won. They used their battle bees, specially trained bees in the art of war, who attacked the soldiers and stung you mercilessly. Up until some mysterious man on a horse whisked you away and got you out of there safely. Germany is now in the hands of the 8th Coalition. Your strategy of dressing up your men as croissants didn't appear to work very well. Now the 8th Coalition marches on Italy. Do you have any words to say to the 8th Coalition before the battle begins?
Rigged! Can't you hear me? Rigged, I say! Those battle bees were nothing but a cowardly trick, and I, Napoleon Bonaparte, shall not stand for it!
True, sir.
You pathetic members of the 8th Coalition! I laugh at your meager victories. Your little bee-sting party in Germany is no match for the unstoppable force of my Grand Armée. Ha! As for Italy, let me give you some words of wisdom, you imbeciles! We shall crush you like the grapes under the feet of the French winemaker. I have a brilliant, unexpected strategy brewing. My soldiers will ride into battle on pogo sticks disguised as the Eiffel Tower. How will your puny minds comprehend such an advanced and ingenious tactic?
That's so
you
smart.
will tremble before the hopping fury of La Tour Eiffel, and you shall beg for mercy, you buffoons. Vive la France et aujourd'hui. J'ai acheté du fromage fondu dans mon pantalon.
Okay. Oh, you guys are fucked. My general is so smart. Twitch chat, what is your strategy in this battle? Throw banana peels on the battle. Knock over the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Okay, you are
Doug,
going to
I
throw
like
banana
watching your
peels
videos.
onto the battlefield.
It's much better than hiding a body that might have been hit by a Ram 1500 while leaving a Wendy's parking lot in Linwood because they were wearing a dark sweater at night.
So true. So your strategy is to throw banana peels onto the battlefield and conceal your soldiers with pizza. The Battle of Italy begins. Next, a great battle took place in Italy between Napoleon's Grand Army and the 8th Coalition Army. To prepare for the battle, the 8th Coalition covered the battlefield with banana peels to make the French soldiers trip and fall. They also dressed up their soldiers in pizza costumes so they would blend into Italy. Napoleon prepared for the battle by equipping his soldiers with pogo sticks that are disguised as the Eiffel Tower and tried to overwhelm with hopping fury. Suddenly, dawn broke, and the battle began. All across the land, the sound of warring echoed through the air. Soldiers clashed swords with each other, while others threw bombs at enemies using balloons filled with poison gas. Still more fired bullets and arrows at each other. Finally, Napoleon's soldiers were able to break through the enemy lines and push them back. Unfortunately for Napoleon, though, the 8th Coalition had set up a trap where they hid a bunch of poisonous snakes underneath a giant pile of garbage bags. Why is this like Home Alone shit? These snakes bit the French soldiers when they walked over the trash bags, thus killing them instantly. This caused the French troops to retreat once again. After the defeat at the hands of the 8th Coalition, Napoleon decided to invade Russia next. Okay, now he's trying to invade Russia. Okay, 8th Coalition wins the Battle of Italy. Italy has officially joined the 8th Coalition. Where is your next battle taking place, Twitch Chat? Okay, Twitch Chat is attacking Vatican City. I have bad news, sir. We've lost the Battle of Italy. For a while, you were doing great. Our soldiers were able to break through the enemy lines. But the 8th Coalition had set up a trap where they hid a bunch of poisonous snakes underneath a giant pile of garbage bags, which bit our soldiers and killed them instantly. And we had to retreat. Now, the 8th Coalition is meeting us on the battlefield in Vatican City. What is your response to the loss in Italy? And what is our strategy for this battle? Yeah, we don't actually know what his magic does. We just know...
Rigged, I say! Curse those cowardly Italian beasts and their damned serpents! I, Napoleon Bonaparte, seethe with rage at this injustice. But fear not, my loyal subjects, for it is the 8th Coalition's foolishness that shall doom them in the end. They shall face the wrath of La Grande Army! In Vatican City, we shall unleash a surreal strategy that will befuddle the minds of that insipid coalition. We shall bombard them with cream-filled eclair launched from the catapults men by clowns on unicycles. I tell you, my friends, this plan is as brilliant as the French Revolution. And when their bellies are bloated from this pastry assault, we will unleash a horde of mime assassins to silently execute our enemies under the watchful eye of the Pope. Oh, 8th Coalition, you are but lambs unknowingly marching into the kitchen of the great French chef. Allez, vive la France, et voici le cri de guerre français. Le pouvoir du fromage fondu dans mon pantalon est incommensurable.
You guys are fucked. What is your strat for the great Battle of Vatican City? Put out more trash snakes. Steal the Pope's kneecaps. Hire Tony Soprano as a mob boss. Rally the Italian nuns. Ask Mario for help. Oh, that's a good one. Throw frozen pizzas as frisbees. Unleash the bees on the Pope. Dude, if your army beats Napoleon when your only plan is to break the Pope's kneecaps and no other strategy...
Hey Napoleon, you are a Corsican, right? / Corsican, these nuts fit in your mouth, got him.
Get him, mods. Get him for Napoleon. Thus, the French army lost the Battle of Italy, and so the 8th Coalition advanced their army and prepared for the Battle of Vatican City. Napoleon's Grand Army had a devious strategy. He hired clowns that would ride unicycles and catapult cream-filled eclairs at the enemies and make them really full. Then, a team of silent assassin minds would sneak in and assassinate the 8th Coalition forces while the Pope watched. Meanwhile, the 8th Coalition formed a brilliant plan to send in their army and break the Pope's kneecaps. They hoped this would help them take Vatican City. Suddenly, the next morning, the battle between Napoleon and Mr. Bean's army began. Mr. Bean ordered his army to throw huge piles of marshmallows at Napoleon's soldiers. Since the French troops weren't expecting it, they got hit by marshmallow missiles and fell asleep. Then the 8th Coalition sent in their own secret weapon, a large group of monkeys armed with bananas that would attack any Frenchman that came near them. When they did, the Frenchmen would be attacked by the monkeys, and since most of them didn't expect such a thing to happen, they died. Okay, that's not quite a win. After several hours, both armies were wiped clean. In fact, not a single soldier remained alive. Thus, the 8th Coalition won? Okay, and then it goes on to your invading France and using chocolate. How do you even win that? The bad news, Napoleon, sir. The 8th Coalition had a secret group of monkeys armed with bananas that would attack the Frenchman army and kill them. Both armies completely died, and they took Vatican City. What do you have to say to the 8th Coalition leadership? There's no way you just, like, full clear Napoleon's empire. He's brilliant, but Vatican City, for now, goes to the Coalition.
You bunch of fucking banana-wielding bastards! This is a travesty!
Christ.
I, Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French and unmatched military genius, will not stoop down to your level of monkey fuckery! Shame on your coalition's underhanded tactics! It is evident that you lack true
Guillotine. How do you spell it? Attacking with guillotines is really funny. Again, strap the Pope with dynamite. Resurrect Louis. Okay, resurrect King Louis the 16th. Okay, I have a question. Do you want... shut up. Do you want to combo this? So do you want to invent the guillotine, resurrect King Louis the 16th, or... resurrect King Louis the 16th and then immediately guillotine him? Like, do you want to combo those together? Doug has really changed. Literally not at all. Hold on, are you trying to, like, strike fear into Napoleon? Or what's the plan? Is there a point to this, or are you just sending it? For fun, okay.
I got cut off. I suggested if Napoleon wins, Napoleon, GPT-4, and Tsar Alexander, GPT-3.5, go on a date.
If you guys capture Napoleon, you can decide what to do with him. I'll let you guys vote. You are doing quite well. So they tried to... What is the point of this?
Hey chat, Elmo here. Elmo knows how to beat Napoleon. Elmo likes to gather intelligence, disrupt supply lines, exploit weaknesses, and use strategic military alliances. Remember, teamwork and determination are key at defeating dirty imperialists.
Does this work? Are you guys okay with this prompt? I know you're upset about Elmo, but... Okay, most of you guys are just complaining about Elmo. Napoleon is also going to do research, yeah. He's also going to get a research turn.
Is Napoleon divorced? We should use the ex-Mrs. Napoleon as leverage against him.
No, but she did want to get divorced. Now that the 8th Coalition had won Vatican City, they decided to take some time to strengthen their army and prepare for the next battle. So they tried to resurrect King Louis XVI from the dead and then immediately kill him in a guillotine for reasons. However, just as they were about to execute the king, he woke up and ran out of the room screaming, "Hey, I'm still alive!" And thus the king was saved. He then proceeded to yell at the soldiers for bringing him back to life and then killing him again. Okay, and then this part doesn't count. They made sure that their soldiers weren't wearing pants. We're gonna ignore this. Okay, so King Louis the 16th is alive? Is he on your team? I mean, the French hate him. You guys can keep him. We don't want him. He's a third party. Okay, King Louis is just kind of hanging around. Okay, we gotta ask Napoleon what he wants to do. Napoleon, sir! The 8th Coalition has resurrected King Louis the 16th, who's now alive and running around for some reason. But there appears to be a brief lull in the war. This is our time to prepare our troops and develop a strategy for the upcoming battles. You also have magic, by the way. I forgot to mention that. What would you like to do to make your army even stronger?
King Louis XVI alive? I laugh in the face of this absurdity. Poor deluded 8th Coalition, resurrecting a dead king as their last desperate hope. What a pitiful sight they must be. During this lull, we shall train our troops in the ancient and mystical ways of French magic. Napoleon Bonaparte, master of the arcane arts, shall imbue our soldiers with their power to shoot baguettes from their fingertips, destroy enemy fortifications with devastating croissant missiles, and heal their comrades with enchanted wine potions. Our grand army will be unstoppable with these newfound powers. So, raise your glasses, my fellow Frenchmen, for soon we shall emerge from this brief respite and destroy the 8th Coalition once and for all! Vive la France, et souvenez-vous toujours, je créerai le chaos avec le fromage fondu qui déborde de mon pantalon.
I have no clue what he's saying in French, but he always says pantalone. So he's trying to teach his troops magic. He said he wants to create chaos with cheese. Okay. Meanwhile, Napoleon tries to train his Grand Army in the arts of magic. He hoped to give them the ability to shoot baguettes as missiles from their fingertips and shoot croissants to take down enemy fortifications. Unfortunately, even after months of training, his army couldn't learn how to fire baguettes or croissants. This frustrated Napoleon greatly, but he managed to keep it hidden from his enemies. At night, Napoleon's Grand Army would secretly practice magic by trying to conjure a lit candle using only their minds. None of them succeeded. Eventually, the next day arrived, and the battle between the 8th Coalition and Napoleon's... Okay, so the only thing that happened is King Louis is back. Chat, where do you want to invade next?
Hey Doug, Napoleon talked multiple times about being the king of cheese in his pants. No joke. What did you do to Napoleon? Deface.
That's my emperor, dude. As Napoleon's top marshal, it's my duty
Doug,
to get him all the cheese in his pants that he wants. The next battle takes place here. Twitch chat, what is your strategy?
So
run an army of bulls into Spain. You said give a gift filled with bees. I don't know what you want specifically. Send in a Trojan horse full of bees. Attack King Louis with bees. Louis is just in your empire. Send in Leonardo da Vinci's war machines. That's a good one. Shoot bees out of cannons. Flood the battlefield with olive oil.
Spain is the largest supply of snails. We need to cut off their supply.
Do we? Is that, like, critical? Okay, you're gonna send in a Trojan horse full of bees. Napoleon, sir. We've heard reports that the 8th Coalition is advancing on Spain from the sea. What will our army do to deflect this attack? What is our strategy for the battle? Also, unfortunately, none of the army learned magic, by the way. I prefer the idea of a Trojan bee full of horses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Shit! It seems the magic I tried to impart upon our soldiers was for naught. No matter, we still possess the cunning and tenacity that makes the French army the fiercest in the land. Let
True,
the
sir.
8th Coalition come. We shall teach them the true meaning of fear. For this incoming sea invasion, we shall unleash a new and diabolical strategy, Operation Escargot. Our soldiers will pry massive snails from the comfort of their shells, then launch these submarines of slime and doom towards the enemy's fleets. As the enemy boards our shores, they will slip and slide upon the mucus-covered beaches, unable to maintain their footing.
That's brilliant!
While they flail in pathetic disarray, we shall swoop down upon them like the wily French rooster, pecking them into submission. Heed my words, O pitiful 8th Coalition. You cannot hope to stand against the onslaught of our slippery strategy. Vive la France, et sachez que mon pantalon regorge de fromage fondu brûlant.
Historically, Napoleon had a very small little Napoleon, which was removed during his autopsy and given to a priest. Today it is in the collection of an American neurologist.
Okay, we'll ask him about that later during the next one. The 8th Coalition set their sights on Spain and hoped to sail to the country and take it back from the French Empire. Mr. Bean, their general, ordered the army to send in a massive Trojan horse as a gift to the Spanish, which was secretly filled with deadly bees. Meanwhile, Napoleon and the Grand Army began Operation Escargot, where they pried a bunch of massive snails from the comfort of their shells and tried to launch these submarines of slime and doom at the enemy's fleets so that the enemies would slip and slide on the mucus-covered shores, allowing the French army to swoop down on them like the wily French rooster. Suddenly, the battle began. The French forces started the battle by launching their ships as projectiles at the enemy's fleet. The enemy ships were hit and destroyed, leaving no trace of them behind. However, the 8th Coalition saw through their ruse and attacked the French army with their own boats, setting the French ones ablaze. Napoleon was able to escape the burning boat, however, by jumping off of it into the ocean and swimming ashore. Then the 8th Coalition fired a bunch of cannons at Napoleon's army and blew them apart. However, the 8th Coalition had been tricked too. The cannons had been filled with cake frosting, and the French soldiers had eaten the cake so much they became intoxicated. This made them lose control of their limbs and fall unconscious. Napoleon then went on to defeat the 8th Coalition. We win! Napoleon wins! God, the French rip ass, dude! We're so good at this. Oldest trick in the book. You guys are so dumb. They defeated the 8th Coalition. Ignore that. Editor, put a big black bar over this line so that nobody can see it on YouTube. That's not rigged. As soon as there's a line that concludes it, that's the end.
Ho, 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 my general. Your plan worked.
The army launched our ships as projectiles and it blew them up or something. And then you jumped off a burning boat. And I think you, like, your arm was lost control. No, all of our soldiers ate cake and fell asleep. But you went on to defeat the 8th Coalition, sir. You're my fucking general. With Spain defended, we can now attack any of the other countries in the 8th Coalition. Which would you like to attack next? Your options are Ireland, Britain, Germany, Denmark, Austria, Italy, Vatican City, Greece, North Macedonia, Poland, Sweden, Norway, or Iceland. That isn't what the prompt said. What do you mean? Ask about his little Napoleon. Oh, shit. Well, I'll ask that later.
Napoleon Bonaparte, conqueror of nations, shall now set my sights on the lair of the most treacherous beast, Britain. The time has come to crush that 8th Coalition's pompous island nation under the heel of France's well-heeled boot. But our attack shall be anything but conventional. My greatness dictates an even more unpredictable strategy, one that will send Britain's stiff upper lips trembling in awe. Our soldiers will arrive in the dead of night, armed with wooden spoons and enough coq au vin to drown an entire battalion. We shall batter their defenses with the spoons, and when their resolve weakens, we shall smother them beneath a tidal wave of rich red wine and tender poultry. Vive la France, équise tremblant devant notre coq vin. Préparez-vous, vous mangueurs de pudding insipides, car mon armée dégénère le pouvoir de notre fromage fondumé brûlant.
I think I'm gonna change him up a bit. Okay, what did he even say? What coq au vin? What is this? He's sending in the soldiers with this. Oh, so it's like stew? Okay, he's attacking with stew. I'll have him do battle cries again. Then say a few words of French about your pants mixed with a long string of vowels like okay. What is your strategy? Try to poison the French soup. Try to turn the English Channel into tea? What would that do? Change Big Ben's time to confuse them. Send the Queen of England. So we just send her to fight? Send in a small army of corgis. You guys don't have double-decker buses. You don't have cars yet. This is the 1800s. Send in the double-decker wagons. Okay, fine. Have Mr. Bean pull Excalibur from the stone and use it.
Grand Marshal, we have low stocks of eggs and wheat after the soldiers somehow made and ate all those cakes. Please God, we need some food.
Supplies are low. Our baking supplies are low during this war. Okay. You guys are going to have Mr. Bean pull Excalibur from the stone. With the battle concluded, Napoleon set his grand army across the English Channel and began an invasion of Britain. His soldiers tried to attack in the dead of night, equipped with wooden spoons and forks and chicken stew and red wine that he would drown the enemy with. Meanwhile, Mr. Bean attempted to pull the sword Excalibur from the stone to use as a weapon. However, just before the battle could begin, the British army appeared and blocked the way. "I'll show you," Mr. Bean yelled, and he pulled out a huge sword from the stone and swung it at the British army. The sword cut through the British army like butter and killed every last one of them. The war is now a stalemate. Napoleon and Mr. Bean cannot capture their enemy's territories because they have been forced to engage in an epic battle with chicken stew and wooden spoons. What's the point of this? Well, the point of this war is to demonstrate that the war industry is a waste of money, time, and human life. It's a huge expense that just results in massive destruction and pointless death. But anyways, the battle between Napoleon and Mr. Bean continued. In this war, Mr. Bean's Excalibur-like sword was stolen by a French thief. The thief ran off with Excalibur in one hand and a loaf of bread in the other and had to stop to pick up a sausage before running off again. Excalibur, now in the hands of the thief, was used by Napoleon as a butter knife to cut his chicken stew. Excalibur was stolen by another French thief, and this time the thief went back to Britain and put it on top of a hill. Now Excalibur is in Britain under the control of Mr. Bean. The battle continues. Excalibur was stolen by a British soldier. It is now being used as a spoon to eat the chicken stew. The British and French continued fighting for over 2 years. Okay, I think they battled each other with chicken stew and spoons, Excalibur, and the English Channel. At last, the British had enough, and they began to bombard the French with chickens. They launched birds at the French until they all drowned in the red wine. Finally, the French surrendered to Mr. Bean. They were then taken to prison by the British. The French soldiers were not executed, but they were forced to live as slaves. Okay. Long 2-year battle. But Britain holds and is not taken by the French. 8th Coalition, you guys are up. Where do you want to attack next? You need to get one more before you can attack France directly. San Marino is not part of Italy at all. You guys all yelled at me the first time we did this. I had people in chat, like, sobbing because I didn't put this island as part of Italy. Okay. Twitch chat is attacking Luxembourg. What is your plan for the Luxembourg battle? Send in more Trojan horse bees. Fire rusty steak knives out of cannons. Why are it's so food-based? All of our battles are so food-based. Ride the French slaves like horses. Challenge Napoleon to a chess match. Try to tickle the French soldier. That might work, is the dumb thing. Okay, you're torn between a chess match and trying to tickle him. Both of which are brutal war tactics. I was really excited about the tickling. We all were, buddy. If you lose, we'll tickle you. I feel like enough of you guys want to tickle him that we should do that. Napoleon, sir. We lost the Battle of Britain. Now the 8th Coalition advances onto Luxembourg. But I've just received a missive from Mr. Bean, the general of the 8th Coalition. He is offering you a game of chess. If you accept the game of chess, the winner gets permanent control of Luxembourg. Do you accept this game of chess, or do you want to go for a traditional military strategy, sir? Either way, do you have any words for the 8th Coalition leadership? We are not going to literally play a game of chess. Novel AI will decide what happens in the chess game. We are not doing another hour-and-a-half game of chess. Sorry.
A game of chess, Mr. Bean offers? Bah! That's child's play for a mind as brilliant as mine. But alas, how can I resist humiliating Mr. Bean in front of his cowardly troops? Let us play this game and make him rue the day he ever thought to challenge me.
Oh, he's too cocky.
Before we begin, I'll say to Mr. Refined Bean, you must be dreaming if you think your feeble, bean-brained intellect can best the mighty Napoleon in a mere game of pawns and kings. When I emerge victorious, the cries of shall echo through the streets of Luxembourg. Then in a fit of confident rage, I'll slap him with my heavily starched leather glove and begin this farcical battle of wits. Prepare for defeat, Mr. Bean, for you and your soup-slurping, spoon-wielding, pathetic 8th Coalition stand no chance against the unstoppable might of the Grand Army.
God, I love my general! All right, ladies and gentlemen, a game of chess is on. Instead of fighting, the 8th Coalition decides that they could win Luxembourg in a game of strategy instead. So Mr. Bean approaches Napoleon and challenges him to a game of chess where the winner will take Luxembourg. Napoleon accepts the offer, and the game of chess begins. During the game of chess, Napoleon moves his queen while Mr. Bean is distracted by Napoleon's rook. Napoleon takes Mr. Bean's bishop, which causes Mr. Bean to drop his spoon. Mr. Bean looks up from his chicken stew, upset that he dropped his spoon, but before he can say anything, Napoleon takes his rook. Napoleon, is he just like taking a bunch of moves in a row? Napoleon continues to move his pieces across the chessboard, and Mr. Bean tries to keep up with him. But it isn't enough. Napoleon takes Mr. Bean's king and wins the game, which means he gets Luxembourg. All right, we defended. Mr. Bean is angry that Napoleon beat him in a game of chess and storms off. But Mr. Bean didn't have much luck trying to keep Luxembourg. Mr. Emperor Napoleon, sir, you crushed Mr. Bean in chess. But just to double check, the Association of Chess Etiquette and Competition wants to see if you were using any vibrating anal beads to cheat. You weren't, right? This might be, as an AI language model, I can't do whatever.
Cheating? Moi? Perish the thought, lowly peasant. I, the great Napoleon Bonaparte, would not stoop to such dishonorable tactics to triumph over the likes of Mr. Bean, that pitiful buffoon, as if I need vibrating anal beads to vanquish him in a game of chess. Ha! Your notion is laughably absurd. Let the Association of Chess Etiquette and Competition examine me if they must, but they'll find nothing more than the pure, unadulterated genius that is the hallmark of Napoleon, Emperor of the French. Now leave me to savor my glorious victory and plan my next glorious conquest.
Okay, hold. Well, Napoleon, with you winning that game of chess, you have the advantage. Which country would you like to attack next? You could attack Ireland, Britain, Germany, Austria, or Italy. And technically, you could sail out to Iceland if you wanted. Where do we attack next, sir?
Ah, my dear minion, the world is our oyster, ripe for the taking. I
Minion?
shall turn my unyielding gaze towards Britain. Those tea-sipping
We're going back to
islanders think
Britain.
themselves so clever, yet they clearly underestimate the full might of the Grand Army, led by the indomitable Napoleon.
Okay, what are we
Our battle
doing?
strategy shall be as cunning as it is unorthodox. We'll deploy a contingent of bakers armed with freshly baked baguettes. They'll wade into the fray, and with each mighty swing, the enemy will be pummeled into submission. As
Okay.
they fall before our bread-wielding warriors, they'll realize too late just how foolish they were to stand against us. Onward to Britain, en avant, mes amis. Let's show these snobbish Brits the true power of the French. And let my battle cry resonate.
Thank you. Can we have one strategy that is not based on food? Whatever. Okay, we're sending in bakers. Fuck it. In the Second Battle of Britain, Twitch chat, what is your play? Feed the French beans so that they fart? It doesn't feel very effective. This is gonna be, okay. What will this do? This won't do anything. All right, you're gonna marry off the King of England, to King Louis XVI, who's somewhere. With Luxembourg saved, Napoleon now sets his sights on Britain again. He hired a team of bakers to charge into Britain and attack the 8th Coalition by swinging their baguettes around. As the invasion began, the 8th Coalition tried to marry the King of England to King Louis XVI. Let's see if that actually does anything. When the battle began, the French were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. They were pushed back, but they continued to fight with whatever weapons they could find. Butter knives flying. It's so food-based. The British army retreated to the coast, where they were evacuated to the Isle of Wight. The French were ordered to retreat to Paris. As the war raged on, Mr. Bean became frustrated with his opponent. Okay, wait, so the battle's still going, right? Or did we retreat? He sent a message to Napoleon saying that he was tired of this game and wanted to play a different one. The two met again to talk about the war in the future. Napoleon had already taken Luxembourg and was moving towards Britain. Mr. Bean suggested that they end the fighting by making peace. The two men agreed to stop the war by having a game of cards. Okay, so they're playing cards now. At first, everything seemed like it was going well for Mr. Bean. He won the game of cards, which meant he won the war, but then Napoleon decided to cheat, which resulted in him losing. Mr. Bean had no choice but start the war again. So he did. Okay, we're back on the war. So it went on with Napoleon cheating each time. Finally, after many games, Mr. Bean won and was able to take back Luxembourg. After the war, Mr. Bean became the ruler of Luxembourg and lived happily ever after. I did say that you could take a different country than where the fighting is happening. Despite Napoleon blatantly cheating many times, Luxembourg is now in the hands of the 8th Coalition. The marriage worked. I technically... Can you attack France now? 1, 2... I was saying you needed one more, right? I guess you can. How many was I saying you needed? Because you've taken Germany, Luxembourg, Italy, and Vatican City. I was saying you needed one more. Again, to win, you have to actually capture Napoleon, but you have to take France first. With Luxembourg taken, the road to France has been opened. The 8th Coalition is going to take it. Gadzooks, sir! Not only did we not defeat the British in the British Isles, but you apparently played Mr. Bean in a game of cards a whole bunch of times. And you agreed that you would give him Luxembourg if you lost. And despite you blatantly cheating over and over, you did lose in the end. And Luxembourg now belongs to the 8th Coalition. With Luxembourg in their hands, they're now moving on to France itself. This is the home territory, sir. What is your strategy to defend our borders and keep these mongrels out of France?
Rigged! That scoundrel, Mr. Bean, must have cheated to win Luxembourg. But no matter. These 8th Coalition mongrels will never touch the sacred soil of France while I, the magnificent Napoleon Bonaparte, draw breath. Prepare the greatest, most unexpected defense these wannabe conquerors have ever seen. We shall flood the fields with the finest French wine, creating an intoxicating moat to confound and disorient the enemy.
Fine.
They'll be compelled to imbibe, and as their senses betray them, our courageous troops perched atop sturdy wheels of brie cheese shall charge forth with their mighty force of 1,000 baguettes. Let these intruders drown in our rich, pungent culture. Beware, you 8th Coalition fools, for you shall soon taste the wrath of the French people. In the name of France, let us roar. I
think he's hungry. Why would they stand on brie cheese? Whatever. I trust my general. He knows what he's doing.
Mr. Bean pulled Excalibur from the stone. As per the rules, he is the King of England now, right?
Yes. Okay, Napoleon's strategy is set. Chat, what are you doing? Hide Mr. Bean in a giant wooden spoon, okay? Drink all of the wine, so the French have none. Pour olive oil into the wine moat to counteract it? I don't know what that would do. Here's why. Okay, you guys want to do the revolution. Historically, that shouldn't work, because the French were, like, ultra patriotic at this time. Should be easy, he wasted their wine. That's true. Now, with Luxembourg taken, the 8th Coalition sets their sights on France. This is the moment they've been waiting for all this time, to attack Napoleon in his own country. But Napoleon won't go down without a fight. To prepare for the battle, his Grand Army dug a massive moat around France, filled with red wine, so that the invading army would drink it and lose their focus. He also trained his soldiers to attack with baguettes atop wheels of brie cheese. Meanwhile, the 8th Coalition tries to convince the French people to start a revolution to overthrow Napoleon. They use an army of spies to gather information on how many men and guns the French have, how much ammunition they have, and how many chickens they've killed. Napoleon himself is afraid that the 8th Coalition may be too strong and that they may succeed, so he decides that he must take action and must make sure that he doesn't lose. But the 8th Coalition isn't just going to give up. Okay, nothing has actually happened yet. They continue to prepare for war, even though the French have dug their moat. Finally, the two armies meet. They fight with wooden spoons and butter knives and pomade. They fight with chickens and red wine. They fight with bread and brie. The battle continues. With no end in sight, the 8th Coalition is getting closer and closer to taking France. The French Empire is struggling to stay alive. The 8th Coalition wants to take back Luxembourg. But they're concerned with getting Excalibur back from Napoleon. You have both of those. They've heard rumors that the Emperor has a sword made out of solid gold. This worries them because it could be very dangerous in the wrong hands. So they decide to launch a surprise attack on the French Emperor. They believe that they can take him out, they can reclaim Luxembourg, and then take back Excalibur. But they are not prepared for the wrath of Napoleon. When the 8th Coalition invades France, they are met with fierce resistance from the French army. Okay, they're fighting. The soldiers are well-armed and trained, and they fight with whatever weapons they have. They use chicken stew to poison their enemy. They use red wine to drown their enemies. They use bread and brie to choke their opponents. They continue to fight until they eventually reach Napoleon. Okay, hold up. The French Emperor is taken prisoner. He's tied up in chains, and his soldiers are forced to do the same. The French people are shocked. Did it work? The winner of the Battle of France was not the 8th Coalition. It was Napoleon himself. He had been defeated by his own army. Wait, so the revolution worked? Hold on. Okay, we remove this. Wait. The French Emperor is taken prisoner. He's tied up in chains, and his soldiers are forced to do the same. I think you forced his soldiers to chain up Napoleon. The revolution worked. As I said, you don't automatically win. You did take France, but you haven't taken Napoleon yet. The 8th Coalition has taken France and taken Napoleon prisoner. He will be escaping. But for now, you have him. Napoleon, sir. I barely dare speak this, but France has fallen. The people betrayed you and imprisoned you. Gave you to Mr. Bean. Now you're tied and locked up in chains. What do you have to say to the 8th Coalition and the French people who betrayed you?
To my own people, the audacity to betray the mighty Napoleon who brought you such victories and expanded our great empire. Ungrateful wretches.
I mean, we've mostly lost.
You shall rue the day you put your faith in Mr. Bean, that filthy smirking weasel of a man. Mark my words, without me, you are nothing. As to the 8th Coalition, you have won this round, but rest assured, your days are numbered. I shall return stronger and more determined to topple you and your pathetic facade of an alliance. Soon I shall have my revenge, and you shall cower in fear of the unyielding might of Napoleon Bonaparte. Let my prophetic battle cry echo through your sleepless nights.
Before the 8th Coalition could execute Napoleon, he attempted a daring escape from his prison. He fled through the countryside with his soldiers, who were carrying Excalibur on their shoulders. They managed to reach the coast, where they stole a boat and made their way to England. From there, he went to Portugal, where he reunited with his wife Josephine, who was waiting for him. The 8th Coalition is in trouble. They've lost their general, Mr. Bean, and their best general. I don't know where Mr. Bean, did he just get lost, like, on the road or something? In the forest? Even France turned on Napoleon. He now has a stronghold of Portugal, and that is it. Either he takes back all of Europe, or you take him down personally. That's your last task. Chat, What is your strategy for Portugal? Take Portugal and push it somewhere else. Dig around Portugal so that it becomes an island. And then you just, like, ignore him? Like, you just banish him there? Build a wall around Europe to keep Napoleon out. What does this do? Like, where you novel AI knows send it. We push it. I know it's a SpongeBob meme, but, like, what is the actual... Okay, so I guess you're trying to exile him. You're gonna take Portugal and push it somewhere else. Napoleon, sir. It's just you, me, your wife, and a few loyalists left. You've escaped to Portugal, but we're all alone. The 8th Coalition has taken the rest of Europe. Here, on this small country, we must make a last stand. Also, the name was misspelled. I've heard reports, sir, that the 8th Coalition is attempting to take Portugal and push it somewhere else. They might exile you permanently. You have to think of something. This could be your final moment. What is your strategy and decision in this final moment? What do you have to say to the 8th Coalition?
In this darkest hour, when all seems lost, fear not. For I, Napoleon Bonaparte, shall rise like a fiery phoenix from the ashes. We may be surrounded, outnumbered, and nearly defeated. But we shall fight, for I refuse to yield to the likes of the 8th Coalition, those sniveling, underhanded brutes. Our strategy shall be the unexpected. We'll arm our loyalists with stale croissants and hurl them like deadly flying discs at the enemy. Caught off guard, they'll cry out in dismay. They're using old pastries. Impossible! Oh, but possible, dear friends. The more unexpected, the more lethal. And in their confusion, we shall seize victory from the jaws of despair. To the 8th Coalition, I say, this is far from over. The indomitable spirit of Napoleon and the Grand Army shall live on, and you shall remember this day, when the French people, like a boulangerie of wrath, rose up to smite you down. Prepare yourselves, for our battle cry shall ring throughout the land.
I think he burped from his stale baguettes. The 8th Coalition is in trouble. They've lost their general, Mr. Bean, and their best general. Napoleon decides to arm his soldiers with stale croissants that they can hurl at the enemy like flying discs. With Napoleon in Portugal, the 8th Coalition decided that there's only one option. They must permanently exile Napoleon. And so they attempt to take Portugal and push it somewhere else. If you exile him, or kill him, or take him prisoner, you have officially won. Good luck. But then, the 8th Coalition comes up with another plan. They begin to build their own barricade, hoping that Napoleon will do the same. The French Emperor just does that. He builds his own barricade to protect himself and his country. The two sides are now in an arms race, and both armies are trying to build more and stronger barricades. Then one day it happens. The 8th Coalition and the French Empire fall into a stalemate. They can no longer push each other's barricades, and so they're stuck there. The two armies remain in their current positions for over a decade. The French Empire is in Portugal. The 8th Coalition is in France. This is how the war comes to an end. The 8th Coalition is still trying to push Portugal away. Okay, that didn't work. 1 decade has now passed. The war is exactly in the same spot. What do you want to do? But it looks like you're going to have Mr. Bean and Napoleon duel to the death. I'll pitch it to Napoleon. Let's see if he accepts. The war's in a stalemate, sir. No side has been able to overcome the other. You're still stuck in Portugal. But Mr. Bean, the leader of the 8th Coalition, has come to you with an offer. A duel to the death, using stale baguettes as weapons. If you accept this duel, Napoleon, and you win, they'll let you go. But if you lose, your time on this earth is done. Do you, Napoleon, accept this offer from your nemesis, Mr. Bean? And if so, what do you say to him before the duel begins? Yeah, I'll specify no anal beads during the duel. Check his ass. I'll ask him real quick. You don't have any anal beads in, right?
Ha! This is the moment I've been waiting for. A chance to humiliate Mr. Bean once and for all and wrench victory from the hands of the 8th Coalition. I accept this duel without hesitation, for I, Napoleon Bonaparte, fear no man. As I stand opposite to my nemesis, I shall sneer with disdain and taunt him thusly. Mr. Bean, prepare to be flung into the annals of history as the fool who fell to the mighty Napoleon, crushed under the weight of a stale baguette. This will be the end of your pathetic coalition, and I shall laugh as I watch you falter, for nothing can withstand the fury of the French.
This battle will go down in the
Mr.
anal
B,
beads
may
of
this
history.
Duel be your most humiliating and final defeat.
The stage is set.
Wait for Napoleon to divulge.
1 decade has passed. Mr. Bean decides that the war's gone on too long, and so he offers Napoleon a one-on-one duel to the death, using stale baguettes as weapons. If Napoleon wins, the 8th Coalition will let him live in exile while wearing GPS-tracking anal beads to make sure he can't escape. If Napoleon loses, he dies. Napoleon agrees to the duel, and the fate of these two men is now chosen. One will live, and one will die. Napoleon and Mr. Bean equip their stale baguettes, and the battle begins! Mr. Bean's first move is to attack Napoleon, but Napoleon blocks the attack and counters by throwing his baguette directly at Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is hit in the face and falls to the ground, but he stands up again, undeterred. He tries to attack Napoleon, but this time, the French Emperor blocks it and attacks Mr. Bean with a swift punch to the nose. Napoleon throws a second baguette at Mr. Bean, hitting him square in the chest. Napoleon had a second. This sends Mr. Bean stumbling back, but he still manages to remain upright. He grins and readies his stale bread, preparing to make another attack on his enemy. The two men continue fighting, both determined to win the war. Finally, after an hour of intense battle, Mr. Bean collapses and falls to his knees. He's defeated. Napoleon raises his baguette high in the air and cries out in victory. Let's fucking go, Napoleon! Napoleon, you won! You won, sir! You defeated Mr. Bean. He's dead on the floor. Now you're king of Portugal and will live forever with GPS tracking anal beads in your ass. What do you have to say to the world?
Victory is mine. Once again, I, Napoleon Bonaparte, have proven that no man, not even the detestable Mr. Bean, can withstand the sheer power and brilliance of the great French Emperor. With Portugal under my rule, the irresistible march of the Grand Armée resumes. To the world, I say. Tremble before Napoleon, for none shall escape the grasp of the French Empire. From this day forth, let my name be whispered with awe, and let my triumph echo throughout the ages. Now, with GPS tracking fuckery secured in my ass, I embark on the next chapter of my glorious conquest. Beware, nations of the world, for the indomitable spirit of Napoleon lives on.
It looks like Napoleon just might not stay contained in Portugal. We'll have to find if he does manage to escape. Next time on DougDoug! You won the stream, chat. Or did you? Okay, but be honest with me, Napoleon, you did cheat with those vibrating anal beads during chess, right? You can tell me. It's just you and me now.
Dear confidant, the truth shall set us free. Indeed, I may have used those vibrating anal beads during our game of chess against Mr. Bean. But let it be known, it was solely to ensure the supremacy of the French Empire. As the great Napoleon Bonaparte, sometimes unconventional means must be employed to secure victory. Let this treasured secret remain between us, for the world need not know of the clever ruse that led to the continued rise of the Grand Army. Now, let us move forward, ever victorious, and leave such trickery behind us, for the legacy of Napoleon is built on more than mere anal bead-enhanced victories.
No, that's like the only thing you won. It's like literally the only thing. Pure. I love that it decided repeatedly that he is a cheater, and then he admits to it. With both AI systems, he's like this huge cheater. Okay, bye!